Good morning, science class. Welcome to science. We're going to be continuing in our science book, The World of Animals. I hope you have that book in front of you. You should have that book in front of you, okay? I want you to open it to page 12 and 13. It's the third chapter on mammals, okay? You should also have your paper that says chapter 3 mammals, science number, I think I forgot to put what number it is, but this is number 5. Hold on, let me see. Double check and make sure that's correct. Yes. This is, so if I didn't put a number right here where it says class number 2, science number, put a little 5 there. Make sure you write your name and date. Today is September 10th, 2020. Make sure those are on your paper, okay? This is for group 2, this video. And that would be Josue, Ana, Brielle, Alex, Levi, Elizabeth. Did I get everybody? Yes. Okay, this class is for you. All right, so I'm going to read together with you. You're going to read with me, okay? I'm going to read. If I stop reading to explain something, leave your finger there because when we go back, you won't be lost. All right? And once I read the chapter, I'm trying to decide if I should help you answer the questions or if I should let you attempt to answer them yourself. Okay? All the answers are in the chapter. So if I don't help you answer, you should be able to answer the questions. So, I'm going to help you answer the questions this time. Next week, I'm only going to read with you. I'm going to explain it to you. And I'm going to let you try to answer yourself and see how everybody does. Hopefully that works because I'm preparing you to go to Mr. Vaughn's class next year, where except for Alex Levi, you won't be going yet. But the rest of you will probably going to Mr. Vaughn's, and he helps you read the information, interpret the information, reason from it. You have to find your own answers. So that's what we need to work on this year is teaching you to finding your own answers. All right. So put your finger on the beginning of the paragraph where it says in green letters, the most familiar vertebrates on Earth. Okay, we're going to start there. Before I start though, let me remind you that God created all the animals on the 5th and 6th day in the land and the ocean. And in order for scientists to study such a large number of animals, they have to put them into groups and study them by groups. And they put them into groups depending on if they have things that are the same. For example, they start off with 2 big groups, which is the vertebrates and invertebrates. Vertebrates have backbones, invertebrates have no backbones. So right now we're focusing on this group, the vertebrates, the ones that have backbones. Now this big group, we're going to take them and put them into smaller groups. It's just like division, isn't it, in math? So we take the vertebrates and break it down into 5 groups. And if you remember from the last chapter what they were, it was birds, reptiles, amphibians. What was the other one? Birds. I forgot what it was. Birds, reptiles, amphibians, fish, and mammals. Okay. So those are the 5 groups in the vertebrate section. So we're going to study each group one at a time. And we're going to start with mammals. Okay. So we're just going to do mammals, then we'll move on to the next group. So the most familiar vertebrates on Earth are the mammals. Those are the ones that you see the most, okay? How can you tell if an animal is a mammal? How can you tell if an animal is a mammal? There is a great variety among mammals. So there's many different kinds of mammals. They look different, they act different. Some are tiny, such as mice. Others are very large, such as the giraffe. or the elephant. Most live on land, but a few, such as dolphins and whales, for example, live in the water. Believe it or not, dolphins and whales are mammals, okay? Even though they live in the water, and I bet you guys thought they were fish, right? To identify an animal as a mammal, however, we must examine their similarities. So in order for them to be put in the group with mammals, we have to see what things they all have that's alike. And if they have those things that are alike, they can belong in that group of mammals, okay? So mammals have 5 common characteristics. Stop right there, leave your finger there, but stop and look at your paper. The very first question on there, read it. What does it say? Ask. Number A, or it's not a number, letter A. What 5 characteristics are common to all mammals? And we just read mammals have 5 common characteristics. Notice it's numbered 1 through 5. So this is what I want you to do. I'm not going to write the answer for you, but now that you found where the answer is for A, I want you to get a yellow highlighter. I don't like the blue or the pink or the orange or the green. It's just too dark. I like that. If you have a yellow highlighter, you can highlight the answer here in your book. But if you don't, you can underline the answer with a pencil, but don't push down really, really hard. Do it very softly, like just very softly so you can barely see the line. That way, when we're done, when the video's over, you can go back and take those answers and put it on your paper, okay? So we're going to read the characteristics of a mammal. Where you left your finger, the next sentence says, they are warm-blooded. That means their blood is warm, okay? If you were to cut yourself and bleed quite a bit and you would touch your blood, it would be warm. Same thing with a dog, a cat, any animal. You would, not any animal, but all mammals, their blood is warm. So that would be the answer for 1. Don't try to answer it now. Just underline it in your book, okay? They're warm-blooded. The next one, it says they have hair. Underline that. Okay, all mammals have hair. They give birth to live young. Underline that one. That's number 3. They give birth to live young. It doesn't mean that there are animals that give birth to dead babies, but some animals lay eggs. So they don't come out alive yet. Okay, number 4, they feed milk to their young. So they nurse their babies and they feed them milk until they can start eating on their own. And number 5, they breathe air through lungs. So they're able to breathe just like me and you. They breathe, they have a set of lungs or 1 lung or 2 lungs, and they can breathe through their lungs. Now, I want, excuse me, I want to apologize that when I made the lines, these lines, let me put that close up to you. The lines right here to list the answers, I made the lines a little too short, so you might have to just keep going and writing. Okay, just try to keep it straight. I didn't make the lines long enough for probably a lot of these. All right, so the next letter B, the question is, why do mammals have hair? So we're going to keep reading and try to find out where the answer is. Why do mammals have hair? But before, it's going to continue in talking about the characteristics of mammals. The next paragraph says, first, mammals are warm-blooded. This means that their bodies stay about the same temperature regardless of the temperature of the air around them. So if it's cold outside or around you, you stay warm. If it's really hot around you, you stay warm. A mammal's body regulates or controls its body temperature. So its body can keep the temperature the same whether it's cold or hot around it. To produce heat for the body, mammals must eat a lot of food. So in order for them to stay warm, they must eat a lot of food. Elephants eat a lot of food, giraffes eat a lot of food, lions and cows, they all eat, goats eat a lot of food. That's for them to stay warm. They make energy and to stay warm. Second, most mammals give birth to live young. Two exceptions are, okay, so it says most of the animals give birth to live babies. They're alive when they're born. There's two exceptions. There's two animals that doesn't happen, but they're still mammals, which is the spiny anteater and the platypus, both of which lay eggs. Okay, so an anteater, I think most of you guys have seen an anteater. It looks like a large, almost like a really large rat, the size of a small dog, and it's got a nose going pointy like this, and they eat ants. I didn't know they laid eggs. And a platypus is an animal that I believe lives in the water, and it's got a flat mouth, beak-like mouth. Okay, those are the two exceptions, but everything else is the same. They have hair or fur. They're warm-blooded. Um, they don't feed milk to their young, but they do have a set of lungs. Okay, so those are the two exceptions. Even these animals feed their young milk from special glands in their bodies. Actually, they do feed their babies milk. These glands are called mammary glands, hence the name mammals. The major deciding factor in an animal being a mammal is whether it nurses its young or not. So the main thing that they use to decide if something is a mammal is whether they feed milk to their babies or not. Okay? If it doesn't feed milk to the baby, it's not a mammal. Okay? Page 13. It says, in addition to these common characteristics, all mammals have hair or fur on their bodies. Okay? Remember the question is, why do they have hair? So it's going to tell us right now. Some mammals seem completely covered with hair, while others have just a little bit of hair. Most hair provides protection from the cold. Why do they have hair or fur? It says most have hair to keep them protected from the cold, or you can write to keep them warm. So you're going to underline that in your book and go back and fill that answer in. Okay? And hair also helps with a sense of touch. What that means is cats have really long whiskers, and they use those whiskers um, when those whiskers touch something. They sense it in their skin, and so they know something's there. So they use it for feelers. The hair doesn't feel, but the sensation goes. It moves the whisker, which moves at the root, and then they feel. So I'm sure there's other animals that have that also, but if something touches the fur, then they know they have to pay attention. All right. Okay. So they use it for feelers. They use it to keep warm. And the third thing, the color and pattern of the hair helps many mammals hide from their enemies. It helps them hide from their enemies. If you look up at the zebra on top, it kind of helps them blend in with the surroundings. See the grass and the dry trees. It helps them so you don't see it. If they were completely black, they'd be more noticeable. Okay? If they were really, really white, they'd be more noticeable. So it helps them blend in. So if their enemies who might attack them and eat them won't see them. Also, there's leopard spots. There's giraffe spots. That's to help them blend in with their surroundings also, depending on where they live. Okay? So the next question, question C, is not in, actually it is in the book, but it's not very obvious. It says, are humans mammals? Are humans mammals? Well, the main thing that decides whether something is a mammal is whether if the animal feeds their baby milk. Okay, humans do feed their baby milk, but let's keep reading and see what it says. It says, finally, mammals breathe air through their lungs. Even whales and dolphins have lungs, and they must surface periodically to breathe fresh air, unlike fish that get oxygen from the water itself through their gills. So whales and dolphins have to come up to the top of the water to breathe because they have lungs. Okay. After looking at mammals' characteristics, so we looked at the characteristics. They're warm-blooded, they have lungs, they breathe air, they give birth to live young. Humans do. Humans have hair. We're warm-blooded. We give birth to live young. We feed our babies milk, and we have hair. We have all those characteristics. So are we in that group with the animals? After looking at mammal characteristics, you might wonder if humans are mammals. Physically, humans share these same characteristics with mammals. And most scientists would classify humans as mammals. So some scientists, and those are the scientists that don't know God yet, they put humans in the group with mammals. Okay? However, we know that man is not an ordinary animal. We are not animals. Okay? So we can't go in the group with animals because even though we have the same characteristics, we're not animals. Man is a spiritual and moral creature. Okay? Spiritual means we have a spirit, we have a conscience. Okay? We are to imitate our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Okay? We don't live by instincts. We don't live by whatever we feel is correct. We have a God who calls us to be holy. And okay? Man is a spiritual and holy creature who can have a relationship with God. Man alone was created in God's image. So we were created to be or to look like God. Animals were not. Okay, we're not animals. The next question, okay, it says, why is a platypus considered a mammal even though it lays eggs? The platypus, I made a mistake and I told you that, but I corrected myself that platypuses don't give their milk young. They do. They have a different way of making milk and giving milk to the baby, and also the anteater who lays eggs. So it says, why is a platypus considered a mammal even though it lays eggs? Remember what the one main thing that they use to determine if they're mammals, and that is if they feed milk to their young, okay? And that you'll have to go back where it talks about platypus, where it says, yet even these animals, it's talking about the platypus and the anteater, feed their young milk. So you can just put feed their young milk. Okay. E, name some ways that mammals regulate their body temperature. We talked about that already. There were 3 ways. And if you want to underline it in a book, go to right underneath the zebra, that paragraph there on page 13. It says, in addition to these common characteristics, all animals have hair or fur on their bodies. Some mammals completely covered with hair while others have just a little. Most hair, this is where your answer is, most hair provides protection from the cold. So that's one reason, that's one way that they regulate protection from that's one way they regulate their body temperature. And the other one was that they eat. They eat to produce heat. Another way that it doesn't talk about it here is it's something that we do too as humans. When we're outside and it's super cold, what happens when you start running around or jumping up and down? You're no longer cold anymore. You start to warm up. So another way for animals to regulate their body temperature is by exercising. They don't exercise, but they run. They move around. Okay? So mammals cool down by sweating. Oh, also, they cool down. Have you seen a dog when it's really, really hot outside? What is a dog doing? It's panting. The dog pants because they don't sweat like human beings. The reason we sweat, when you get all sweaty, the reason you're sweating is because that sweat is trying to cool your skin down so your body stays the same temperature. Okay. Pigs and dogs, cats don't sweat. I'm sure there's more animals that don't sweat. So they have another way of keep regulating their body temperature. Dogs will give off hot air from inside their body and breathe in cooler air, and it helps them stay cool. All right. Okay, F, the last one. It says, I don't know if I corrected this on your paper. I made a mistake on this F at the very end. If there's a mistake there, just listen to when I read it and you'll see what it's supposed to be there. It says, what are some animals that have hair that helps them hide from their enemies? Name as many as you can. You can use the back side of this page, and then right there it says to hand plus, that's a mistake, cross out to, and then it has a HAN plus. That's a little, I got carried away with my fingers. It should say, you can use the back side of this page to add more names. I don't know if I corrected that on your paper or not. Okay, so you don't have to fill in all 10. Just write as many as you can. And on page 13, there's 3 clues right there. It's giving you 3 answers right there. Name some animals that use their hair to help them hide from their enemies. Okay, you can name birds, you can name, because it doesn't say mammals, it says animals, any animal that has fur. Actually, only mammals have fur, huh? That have hair that help them hide from their enemies. If you're not sure how to spell it, ask your older brother or sister or your mom. And if they're not around, just sound it out. Say the sounds and write it the best you can. All right? And I hope that you were paying attention as we went through. If you didn't catch all the answers, go back and watch the video again. I know I gave letter E a little bit all mixed up. It's not all the answers are in the book, but for letter E, I'm going to repeat that one. That was going to be the hardest one to answer. It says, name some ways that mammals regulate their body temperature. That means control their body temperature so they don't get too cold or too hot. Okay. The answer is mammals cool down by sweating. Some will sweat, or panting. The animals that don't sweat will pant. So they cool down by sweating or panting. They heat up by eating, exercising, or covering their bodies to keep warm. Okay. Mammals cool down by sweating or panting. They heat up by eating, exercising, or covering their bodies to keep warm. The only example that I can think of to cover yourself to keep warm is in the wintertime when it snows, the bears will go in caves and just sleep and stay out of the cold to keep warm. Okay, so if you have any questions, call me, text me, I can answer any of your questions. Please have this done by this evening and turn it in if you're watching this video. Yeah, you should be watching this video on Friday. All right, we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.